The summer evening was beautiful and calm. Children played in parks across the world. Families ate dinner together. Lovers walked along beaches, watching the sunset. It was June 15th, 2147, and humanity had never been happier or more peaceful. Nathan Cole stood on the balcony of his small apartment in Houston, talking to his wife Maria on his phone. She was visiting her mother in Buenos Aires with their daughter Sophie. The little girl was only 7 years old, and she loved spending time with her grandmother. Sophie learned to make empanadas today. Maria laughed through the phone. She got flour everywhere, but she was so proud of herself. Nathan smiled. He missed them terribly. His work on the destroyer Relentless kept him away from home too often. Tell her Daddy is proud of her too. I will be home in 3 weeks, and she can make them for me. She would like that, Maria said. I love you, Nathan. I love you too. Kiss Sophie goodnight for me. He ended the call and looked up at the stars. Humanity had spread to 12 star systems now. Colony ships carried brave families to new worlds. Scientists searched for signs of intelligent life, but they found nothing. Many people believed humans were alone in the universe. They were wrong. At exactly 8:47 p.m. Houston time, the sky changed. Hundreds of massive ships appeared above every major city on Earth. They were black and angular, covered in strange symbols that hurt the eyes to look at. Each ship was larger than anything humanity had ever built. Nathan dropped his phone. His military training kicked in immediately. He ran inside and turned on the news. Every channel showed the same thing. Alien ships everywhere. Panic in the streets. World leaders demanding answers. The United Earth Coalition emergency broadcast began playing on all channels. Admiral Kira Dawson appeared on screen. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had commanded Earth's defense fleet for 15 years, but she had never faced anything like this. All military personnel report to your stations immediately, she said. Her voice was steady, but Nathan could see the fear in her eyes. This is not a drill. Nathan grabbed his bag and ran to the transport station. Other soldiers were doing the same. Nobody spoke. What could anyone say? Within 2 hours, Nathan was aboard the Relentless. The ship was already moving to join the rest of Earth's fleet. Through the viewport, he could see the alien vessels. There were hundreds of them. Earth's entire military fleet was only 47 ships. Captain Rita Vance gathered her officers in the command room. She was a short woman with dark skin and a reputation for staying calm under pressure. But even she looked shaken. We have received a transmission from the aliens, she said. They call themselves the Vethkai Dominion. They have conquered 300 worlds across the galaxy. And now they want Earth. She played the message. The alien that appeared on screen was terrifying. It had an insect-like body covered in hard black armor. Its eyes were large and red, without any warmth or mercy. When it spoke, its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. Humans of Earth, the creature said. I am High Commander Zethrol of the Vethkai Dominion. Your world now belongs to us. You will surrender immediately and accept your place as servants of the Dominion. You will work for us. You will obey us. Resistance is not possible. You have 1 hour to respond. Captain Vance turned off the message. The room was silent. What are our orders? Nathan asked. Admiral Dawson is coordinating with the Coalition Council, Vance replied. They are asking for more time to discuss the surrender terms. Nathan felt sick. Surrender? Just like that? But he understood the logic. 47 ships against hundreds. It would be a massacre. The hour passed slowly. Earth's leaders debated and argued. Some wanted to fight. Others said fighting was suicide. Most just wanted more time to think. The Vethkai did not give them that time. At exactly 10:47 p.m. Houston time, the alien fleet opened fire on Buenos Aires. The attack lasted only 30 seconds. When it ended, the city was gone. 12 million people were dead. Nothing remained but a crater of melted glass and burning rock. Nathan watched it happen through the relentless viewport. His mind refused to accept what his eyes were seeing. Maria, Sophie, her mother, all those innocent people. Gone in half a minute. He fell to his knees. Someone was screaming. It took him a moment to realize the screams were coming from his own throat. Around him, other crew members reacted with shock and horror. Some cried. Some prayed. Some just stared at nothing, their minds broken by what they had witnessed. Captain Vance's voice came over the ship's speakers. It was shaking now. All hands. Earth has surrendered. We are standing down. All weapons offline. This is a direct order. Nathan could not move. He stayed on the floor, staring at the viewport where the glow of Buenos Aires still burned. A hand touched his shoulder. It was his friend Daniel Park, a young Marine from Chicago. "Nathan," Daniel said softly. "I am so sorry." Nathan did not respond. Something inside him had died with his family, but something else was being born. Something cold and hard and patient. Something that would remember this day forever. The Vethkai ships began landing on Earth. Their soldiers marched through the streets of every city. They were tall and terrible, with claws that could cut through steel and weapons that turned people to ash. Hi. Commander Zethral broadcast another message to the conquered planet. "You see now the price of hesitation," he said. "Learn from this lesson. Serve the Dominion well, and you will live. Resist, and you will burn like that city." Earth's leaders signed the surrender documents. Humanity officially became a servant race of the Vethkai Dominion. People were divided into work groups. Soldiers were disarmed. Ships were taken. Technology was confiscated. But the Vethkai made a mistake that night. They believed they had broken humanity. They thought the destruction of one city would crush all hope of resistance. They had conquered 300 worlds using the same strategy. It had always worked before. They did not understand humans. They did not know that humans had fought each other for thousands of years. They did not know about Thermopylae, about Stalingrad, about the countless times humanity had faced impossible odds and refused to give up. And they did not know about Nathan Cole, still kneeling on the floor of the Relentless, making a silent promise to his dead wife and daughter. The occupation had begun. But so had something else. In the ashes of Buenos Aires, the seeds of revenge were already growing. 5 years had passed since the sky burned. Earth was a different world now. The Vethkai had transformed it into one giant labor camp. Humans worked in mines, factories, and construction sites. They built weapons and ships for their alien masters. They grew food that was taken away to feed Dominion soldiers. And they died, slowly, from exhaustion and hunger and despair. Nathan Cole was no longer the clean-shaven officer who had served on the Relentless. His beard was long and gray now. His eyes were hard. Deep scars covered his arms from battles with Vethkai patrols. He lived in a cave system in the Rocky Mountains with 300 other fighters. They called themselves the Last Light. Daniel Park was his second in command. The young Marine had grown into a hardened warrior. He trained new recruits every day, teaching them how to fight aliens with nothing but knives and stolen weapons. "We lost another supply convoy last night," Daniel reported. "The Vethkai are increasing patrols on all mountain roads." Nathan nodded. "Then we stopped using roads. We moved through the old mine tunnels. They do not know about those. This was how the resistance survived. They adapted. They learned. They found every weakness in the Vethkai system and used it against them. Across the continent, other resistance cells were doing the same thing. Nathan had spent years building a secret network that connected them all. Messages were passed through hidden radio frequencies. Supplies were shared through underground tunnels. Information flowed like water, always finding a way around Vethkai blocks. But the most important member of the resistance was not a soldier. She was a scientist. Doctor Lucy Grant worked in a Vethkai weapons laboratory in what used to be Denver. The aliens had gathered Earth's smartest scientists and forced them to improve Dominion technology. They watched the humans constantly, but they never suspected that Lucy was memorizing everything she saw. Every night, she wrote down what she had learned on tiny pieces of paper. Every week, a cleaning woman named Elena Ruiz collected those papers and delivered them to the resistance. The information was slowly building into something powerful. Lucy had discovered that Vethkai shield technology had a major flaw. Their energy barriers were designed to stop laser weapons and plasma blasts, but they were surprisingly weak against simple kinetic force, like bullets or missiles, if they hit at exactly the right frequency. This could change everything, Lucy wrote in her latest message. If we can build weapons that exploit this weakness, their shields become useless. Nathan read the message in his mountain cave. For the first time in 5 years, he felt something like hope. Meanwhile, thousands of light years away, humanity's best chance for survival was hiding in silence. New Providence was a small colony on the edge of explored space. When the invasion happened, Governor Samuel Hayes made a desperate decision. He ordered all electromagnetic emissions stopped. Radio signals, satellite communications, even electric lights at night. The entire planet went dark. The Vethkai never found them. For 5 years, New Providence had been building in secret. Chief Engineer Rosa Martinez worked 20 hours a day designing new ships. She had only a few captured Vethkai vessels to study, but she was a genius. She found ways to combine alien technology with human engineering. Captain Olivia Barnes trained pilots and Marines in hidden facilities underground. She developed new combat tactics designed specifically to fight the Vethkai. Her soldiers learned to use speed and surprise instead of raw firepower. We have 47 ships now, Rosa reported to Governor Hayes. 30 fighters, 12 destroyers, and 5 carriers. It is not enough to defeat the Dominion, but it is enough to start a war. Hayes looked at the fleet through his office window. 47 ships. The same number Earth's defense fleet had when the invasion began. But these ships were better, faster, designed by humans who had learned from their defeat. We wait for the signal from Earth, Hayes said. When Nathan Cole is ready, we will be ready. The connection between Earth and New Providence was maintained by an unlikely ally. The Kalari were a species that had served the Vethkai for 800 years. They were small, gray-skinned beings with large eyes and gentle voices. The Dominion used them as servants, translators, and administrators. Elder Counselor Venra was the oldest and wisest of the Kalari on Earth. He had watched the Vethkai conquer dozens of species. He had seen hope die in countless eyes. But humans were different. Your people do not surrender, Venra said to Nathan during a secret meeting. Even after 5 years of occupation, you still fight. We Kalari stopped fighting after only 2 generations. We forgot how to resist. Nathan looked at the small alien. Then let us teach you again. Venra became the Resistance's most valuable spy. His position gave him access to Vethkai communication systems. He passed information about troop movements, supply shipments, and commander assignments. And he carried messages between Earth and the hidden colony of New Providence. The Vethkai never suspected him. They believed the Kalari were completely broken, completely obedient. They could not imagine that a servant species might remember what freedom felt like. Years passed. The resistance grew stronger. Nathan's network expanded to every continent. Lucy Grant's research continued, revealing more and more Vethkai weaknesses. New Providence's fleet grew larger and more powerful, but the occupation grew harsher too. The Vethkai demanded more workers, more resources, more obedience. Humans died by the thousands in mining accidents and factory disasters. Those who complained were publicly executed. Those who resisted were tortured. Daniel Park watched a group of children being marched to a labor camp. They were thin and pale, their eyes empty. The youngest was maybe 5 years old. "We need to act soon," Daniel said to Nathan. "Our people cannot survive much longer like this." Nathan knew he was right. The resistance was ready. The fleet was ready. Lucy Grant's weapon designs had been shared with every cell on Earth and transmitted to New Providence. But Nathan also knew they would only get one chance. If they struck too early and failed, the Vethkai would destroy what remained of humanity. They needed to wait for the perfect moment. That moment came 3 months later, when Venra brought news that changed everything. "The High Command has issued a new order," the Kalari said. His voice trembled with horror. "They have decided that Earth has too many humans. They are planning to reduce the population by 3 billion. They call it a culling." Nathan felt the cold fury that had lived inside him for 5 years suddenly burn hot. "When?" he asked. 6 months from now. They want to do it efficiently, without damaging infrastructure." Nathan stood up. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. "Contact Governor Hayes," he said. "Contact every cell on Earth. Contact every ally we have made." Daniel Park understood immediately. "We are finally going to fight." Nathan looked at his old friend. The scars on his arms seemed to glow in the dim light. "No," Nathan said. "We are going to win." The quiet years were over. The time for waiting had ended. Humanity's revenge was about to begin. The news of the culling spread through the resistance like fire through dry grass. 3 billion people marked for death. Half of humanity erased to make the survivors more manageable. The Vethkai had done this before on other worlds. They treated it like pruning a garden. Nathan Cole gathered his commanders in the mountain cave that served as Resistance headquarters. Maps covered every wall. Charts showed troop positions, supply routes, and communication lines. 5 years of planning was about to be tested. "We have 6 months," Nathan said. "That is not much time, but it is enough. Lucy, tell them what you found." Dr. Lucy Grant stood up. She had escaped the Denver laboratory 3 weeks ago with the help of Elena Ruiz and a team of resistance fighters. Now she was free to share everything she had learned. "Vethkai shields are designed to stop energy weapons," she explained. "Lasers, plasma, particle beams. These are what most advanced civilizations use. But kinetic weapons, simple projectiles moving at high speed, can pass through if they hit at the right frequency." She showed them the calculations. Bullets traveling at exactly 847 meters per second could penetrate Vethkai personal shields. Missiles traveling at 12,000 meters per second could penetrate ship shields. The numbers were very specific, but they were achievable with human technology. "We can modify our weapons to match these frequencies," Lucy continued. "Every gun, every missile, every cannon. The Vethkai will not know what hit them." Captain Olivia Barnes spoke through a secure communication link from New Providence. "We've already begun modifying our fleet. Rosa Martinez estimates we will be ready in 4 months." The plan was complex but clear. First, they needed to capture a Vethkai communication hub. These massive stations controlled all alien communications on Earth. If the Resistance could take one, they could broadcast Lucy's weapon modifications to every human settlement in the galaxy. Second, New Providence's secret fleet would launch a surprise attack on the Vethkai orbital stations above Earth. Without those stations, the aliens could not call for reinforcements or coordinate their ground forces. Third, every resistance cell on Earth would rise at the same moment. Factories would explode. Military bases would be attacked. The Vethkai would face enemies everywhere at once. The Dominion has never faced a coordinated uprising before, Nathan said. They conquer species one world at a time. They do not expect their victims to communicate, to plan together, to strike as one. Daniel Parks studied the map of the nearest communication hub. It was located in what used to be Kansas City, heavily guarded by Vethkai soldiers and automated defense systems. I will lead the strike team, Daniel said. 20 of our best fighters. We go in fast. Take the hub, broadcast the signal, and hold it as long as we can. Nathan shook his head. It is too dangerous. The chances of survival are almost zero. Daniel smiled. It was a sad smile, but there was peace in his eyes. My family died in the first wave, Nathan. My parents, my brothers, everyone I loved. For 5 years, I have been waiting for a chance to make their deaths mean something. This is that chance. Nathan wanted to argue. Daniel was his closest friend, the brother he had never had. But he understood. He would have made the same choice. Then we do this together, Nathan said. I will lead the ground uprising from the East Coast. You take the hub. We strike at the same moment. The next 4 months were the busiest of Nathan's life. Weapons were modified. Fighters were trained. Supply caches were positioned. Every detail was checked and rechecked. There was no room for error. On New Providence, Rosa Martinez worked without sleep. Her engineering teams modified every ship in the fleet. Olivia Barnes drilled her pilots until they could fly attack patterns in their sleep. Governor Hayes coordinated supplies and reinforcements. Elder Counselor Venra continued his dangerous work as a spy. He provided updated information about Vethkai positions and schedules. He also began quietly spreading word among other Kellery servants. Not all of them were ready to resist, but some remembered what freedom felt like. Finally, the day arrived. May 15th, 2152. Exactly 5 years and 11 months after the invasion began. Daniel Park and his team approached the Kansas City Communication Hub under cover of darkness. They wore stolen Vethkai armor and carried modified weapons. The guards did not suspect anything until it was too late. The attack was brutal and fast. Daniel's team killed 12 guards in the first 30 seconds. They breached the main doors with explosives and fought their way through corridor after corridor. 7 of Daniel's fighters died in the first 5 minutes, but the rest pushed forward. Daniel himself reached the main control room. A Vethkai officer tried to activate the alarm, but Daniel shot him before his claw touched the button. The room fell silent except for the hum of alien machinery. We have control, Daniel reported through his radio. Beginning broadcast now. Lucy Grant's voice filled the communication channels. Her message was simple but world-changing. She explained the shield weakness, the weapon modifications, and the exact frequencies needed to make them work. The transmission went to every hidden human settlement, every colony ship, every resistance cell. To all humans who can hear this, Lucy said at the end, today we stop being victims. Today we become warriors. But the Vethkai were not slow to respond. Reinforcements arrived at the Kansas City hub within 20 minutes. Daniel's remaining fighters held the doors as long as they could, but they were outnumbered 10-1. Daniel kept broadcasting until the last possible moment. When the doors finally broke, he turned to face the enemy. He was out of ammunition, but he still had a knife. You should have left us alone, he told the Vethkai commander who entered the room. Then he charged. Overseer Kethran, the Vethkai officer in charge of the entire North American sector, personally killed Daniel Park. The alien thought he was ending a small rebellion. He did not understand what he had actually done. Kethron ordered Daniel's death broadcast across Earth as a warning. He wanted humans to see what happened to those who resisted. He expected fear and despair. Instead, he got rage. Humans watching the broadcast saw Daniel Park die on his feet, fighting to the last breath. They saw him refuse to surrender, refuse to beg, refuse to break. And something woke up inside them, something that had been sleeping for 5 years in factories across the world. Workers picked up tools and turned them into weapons in mines underground. Prisoners began to organize in cities and villages and labor camps. Humans looked at each other and nodded. The time had come and far above Earth, New Providence's secret fleet emerged from hyperspace. 47 ships, their weapons modified to penetrate Vethkai shields. Their crews ready to die for their species. Admiral Kira Dawson, who everyone thought had died in the invasion, stood on the bridge of the carrier reckoning. She had spent 5 years hiding, planning, and preparing for this moment. All ships, she announced, begin attack run. Target the orbital stations first. The battle for Earth had begun. Daniel Park did not live to see it, but his death had been the spark that set the galaxy on fire. And the fire would not stop burning until the Vethkai Empire was ash. The space above Earth became a battlefield of fire and metal. Admiral Kira Dawson's fleet struck the Vethkai orbital stations with terrible precision. The aliens fired back with everything they had, confident that their superior shields would protect them. They were wrong. The first missiles hit a Vethkai battleship at exactly the right frequency. The shields flickered and failed. The ship's hull tore open like paper. Air and bodies spilled into the vacuum of space. Their shields are down, Kira announced to her fleet. All ships weapons free. Show them what humanity can do. The battle was still desperate. The Vethkai had more ships, bigger ships, more experienced crews. But they had never faced an enemy who could actually hurt them. For 3,000 years, their shields had made them almost invincible. Now, those shields were useless. Human pilots flew like they had nothing to lose, because they didn't. Every pilot knew their family had suffered under occupation. Every gunner remembered friends who had died in labor camps. Every captain understood that this was humanity's last chance. Lieutenant Maria Santos flew her fighter directly into the engine section of a Vethkai carrier. Her ship exploded, but so did the carrier. 3,000 aliens died with her. Commander Jack Riley led a boarding party onto an enemy destroyer. His Marines fought through corridor after corridor, killing aliens with guns and knives and bare hands. When his ammunition ran out, Riley killed 6 more Vethkai with a broken pipe before falling. Captain Grace Kim rammed her damaged cruiser into an orbital station's reactor core. The explosion destroyed the station and 2 nearby enemy ships. Her crew had already evacuated, but Grace stayed at the helm to make sure the impact was precise. "They are dying for us," Kira said quietly, watching another human ship sacrifice itself. "Every one of them is buying time for Earth." Down on the planet's surface, Nathan Cole led the largest uprising in human history. His signal had been simple. When you see explosions in the sky, attack. Every city erupted at once. Factory workers who had hidden weapons for years finally used them. Miners collapsed tunnels on Vethkai patrol stations. Farmers who had secretly trained as fighters ambushed supply convoys. Even children threw rocks at alien soldiers. Nathan himself led a force of 5,000 fighters against the Vethkai Command Center in New York. The aliens had built it where the United Nations used to stand. A massive fortress surrounded by walls and guard towers. "Break through the eastern gate," Nathan ordered. "Use the modified grenades Lucy designed. Their personal shields will not stop them." The attack was bloody and brutal. Vethkai soldiers poured fire on the advancing humans. Hundreds fell in the first minute. But the humans kept coming, climbing over the bodies of their friends. Never stopping, never retreating. Elena Ruiz, the cleaning woman who had smuggled Lucy Grant's messages for years, led a team that captured the main gate controls. She died opening those gates, shot 17 times by Vethkai rifles. But she held on long enough to finish the job. The gates swung open. Nathan's forces flooded into the compound. The fighting inside was close and savage. Vethkai claws could slice through human flesh, but humans had learned to fight in tight spaces where size became a disadvantage. They used knives, broken glass, and chains. They fought with a ferocity that the aliens had never seen. Overseer Catherine watched the battle from his command room, unable to believe what was happening. His soldiers were losing, not just in New York, but everywhere. Reports flooded in from every continent. Human uprisings, burning bases, dead officers. "This is impossible," Catherine hissed. "They are a broken species." They surrendered. His aide, a young officer named Vrethel, looked at the screens with growing fear. Perhaps they were never truly broken, Overseer? Catherine tried to contact the orbital fleet, but the communications were jammed. He tried to call for reinforcements from other Vethkai colonies, but the signal was blocked. He was alone, cut off, watching his forces die down above Earth. The battle was turning. Admiral Dawson's fleet had destroyed 8 of the 12 orbital stations. The Vethkai commander ordered a retreat, hoping to regroup and counterattack. Kira Dawson did not let them escape. "Pursuit formation," she ordered. "No enemy ship leaves this system." Her fleet chased the retreating aliens, destroying ship after ship. The Vethkai, who had arrived as conquerors, now fled like prey. But there was no escape. Human ships were faster, more agile, and their crews were fighting for everything they had lost up by midnight. The last Vethkai ship above Earth had been destroyed or captured. On the ground, the fighting continued for 3 more days. Alien strongholds fell one by one. Some Vethkai surrendered, hoping for mercy. Most fought to the death, unable to accept defeat by a species they had dismissed as inferior. Nathan Cole found Overseer Catherine hiding in a bunker beneath the New York Command Center. The alien was alone, his guards dead, his weapons empty. He looked at Nathan with those cold red eyes and spoke in broken human language. "You cannot do this," Catherine said. "The Dominion has 300 worlds, 300 fleets. When they hear what you have done, they will come with such force that your planet will be dust." Nathan stepped closer. His clothes were torn and bloody. His face was covered in ash and dirt. But his eyes burned with a fire that made the aliens step back. "You came to our world without warning," Nathan said. "You killed 12 million innocent people to make a point. You enslaved us, starved us, worked us to death." He pulled out a photograph from his pocket. It was worn and faded, but the image was still clear. A woman with dark hair and a smile like sunshine. A little girl with her father's eyes. "You killed my wife and daughter," Nathan continued. "You thought that would break me. You were wrong. It freed me. It freed all of us. Because now we have nothing left to lose and everything to fight for." Catherine demanded the rights given to prisoners under Dominion law. It was standard procedure. Captured officers were to be treated with respect, held for exchange, eventually returned to their people. Nathan's response was simple. "You attacked Earth first." The trial of Overseer Catherine was broadcast across the planet. Human judges presided. Human witnesses testified. The evidence of Vethkai crimes was overwhelming. Millions dead, billions enslaved, families torn apart, hope crushed. The verdict was unanimous. Guilty of crimes against humanity. The sentence was carried out at dawn. In the crater that had once been Buenos Aires, where 12 million people had died, the murderer met his end. Earth was free, but as Nathan stood in that crater, feeling the wind on his face, he knew the war was not over. The Dominion would come for them. 300 worlds worth of vengeance would descend on humanity. Admiral Kira Dawson landed beside him. Her fleet had won the battle above, but she looked as tired and worn as he felt. "They will send everything they have," she said. Nathan nodded. "Then we need to be ready. Governor Hayes wants a meeting. Leaders from every continent, every colony, every resistance cell. He says it is time to decide what happens next." Nathan looked at the rising sun. It was the first sunrise of a free Earth in almost 6 years. It was beautiful. "What happens next," he said slowly, "is that we make sure this never happens again. Not to us, not to anyone." He turned and walked toward the waiting transport. The liberation was complete. Now came the hard part. 1 year after liberation, the leaders of humanity gathered in Geneva. The old United Earth Coalition building had been rebuilt, but the people inside were very different from the diplomats who had surrendered 6 years ago. Nathan Cole sat at the main table, his scars visible even through his formal uniform. Admiral Kira Dawson sat beside him, her gray hair now cut short like a soldier's. Governor Samuel Hayes represented the outer colonies. Dr. Lucy Grant spoke for the scientific community. Rosa Martinez and Olivia Barnes attended as military advisors, and Elder Counselor Venra sat among them. The first non-human to be welcomed into human leadership. The question before them was simple but terrifying. What now? "We can fortify our borders," one delegate suggested. "Build defenses. Make Earth impossible to attack. The Dominion might leave us alone if the cost of reconquest is too high." Nathan shook his head. "They will not leave us alone. We humiliated them. We killed one of their overseers and destroyed an entire fleet. The Vethkai do not forgive. They will come back, and next time they will bring enough force to exterminate us completely. Then what do you propose?" The delegate asked. Nathan looked around the room. He saw tired faces, frightened faces, faces marked by years of suffering. But he also saw something else: strength, determination, a refusal to be victims ever again. "We take the war to them," he said. "We attack the Dominion before they attack us. We liberate every species they have enslaved. We build an alliance so powerful that the Vethkai will be the ones who surrender." The room erupted in argument. Some called the plan madness. Attack a 300-world empire? With what? They had barely enough ships to defend Earth. The Dominion had thousands. Admiral Dawson stood up. The room fell silent. Everyone knew she had commanded humanity's greatest victory. Her voice carried weight. "When the invasion came, we had 47 ships," she said. "Now we have 112, and more are being built every day. New Providence's shipyards are working without rest. Rosa Martinez has designed vessels that are faster and more powerful than anything the Vethkai have." She activated a holographic display. Star maps appeared, showing Dominion space stretching across a quarter of the galaxy. "The Dominion is vast, but it is also stretched thin," Dawson continued. "They rule through fear, not loyalty. Their subject species hate them as much as we do. If we show them that the Vethkai can be beaten, they will rise against their masters. We do not have to fight alone." Governor Hayes nodded slowly. "New Providence has been contacted by 3 species already. The Kaleri through Venra, the Morth, a warrior race from the outer sectors, and the Sindari, who control important trade routes. They have all suffered under the Dominion. They are all watching to see what we do next." Lucy Grant added her voice. "I have analyzed captured Vethkai technology. Their weapons and shields are standardized across the Empire. The same weakness we exploited to free Earth will work against every ship they have. We can share this knowledge with any species willing to fight. The debate continued for hours. But slowly, the mood in the room shifted. Fear gave way to determination. Doubt gave way to hope. These were the survivors of an attempted genocide. They had already faced the worst and lived. What was left to frighten them? When the final vote came, it was unanimous. Humanity would not hide. Humanity would not wait for death. Humanity would take the war to the stars. Nathan Cole was given command of the ground forces. Kira Dawson commanded the fleet. Governor Hayes coordinated supplies and diplomacy. Lucy Grant led the science division. Rosa Martinez and Olivia Barnes prepared the military. And Venra became humanity's ambassador to the enslaved species of the Dominion. The first campaign targeted a Vethkai mining colony 3 weeks away by hyperspace. The colony used 10,000 Morris slaves to extract rare minerals. It was defended by a small fleet and a ground garrison of 2,000 Vethkai soldiers. Nathan landed with 5,000 human Marines and 2,000 Morris volunteers who had escaped to New Providence. The battle was fierce but short. Human weapons cut through Vethkai shields. Morith warriors, fighting for their enslaved brothers, showed no mercy. When the colony fell, the Morith slaves were freed. Most immediately asked for weapons to continue fighting. A new army was being born. More campaigns followed. The Zendari homeworld was liberated after a space battle that destroyed 30 Vethkai warships. The Telluri, a peaceful species of scholars, were freed from a Dominion research station. Each victory brought new allies, new resources, new hope. The Vethkai High Command watched in disbelief as their empire began to crumble. Species they had ruled for centuries were rising up. Worlds they had considered secure were falling. And at the center of every defeat were the humans, the soft, weak creatures they had dismissed as barely worth conquering. High Commander Zethral, the same officer who had demanded Earth's surrender 6 years ago, summoned his fleet. 300 ships, the largest Dominion force ever assembled, began moving toward human space, but they never arrived. Admiral Dawson's fleet, now grown to 200 ships with allied vessels, met them at a system called Carthel. The battle lasted 4 days. Human, Kalari, Morith, Sindari, and Telluri ships fought side by side. They used tactics the Vethkai had never seen, strategies developed by species who had nothing left to lose. When the battle ended, Zethral was dead. His flagship was a burning wreck. 200 Dominion ships were destroyed. The rest fled in disorder, pursued by human hunters. Now the path to the Dominion homeworld was open. Nathan Cole led the final ground assault. His army had grown to 1 million soldiers from a dozen species. They landed on the Vethkai, capital world under skies filled with human and allied ships. The fighting was the worst Nathan had ever seen. The Vethkai fought like demons, knowing they faced extinction. Their city streets became killing grounds. Their buildings became fortresses. Every step cost lives, but the Alliance pushed forward. Nothing could stop them now. The Vethkai High Council sent a message offering terms. They would give humanity its freedom, its territory, even reparations for the invasion. Just stop the attack. Just let the Dominion survive. Lucy Grant, now serving as Earth's ambassador to the growing alliance, was chosen to respond. She stood before cameras that broadcast her words to every corner of the galaxy. 5 years ago, you came to our world without provocation, she said. You murdered 12 million innocent people to make us obey. You enslaved our species. You called us weak because we bleed easily and die easily. Her voice was calm but filled with cold fire. You failed to understand something fundamental about humanity. We remember. We adapt. And we do not forgive. You attacked Earth first. Now humanity is marching for the Empire, and we will not stop until the galaxy is free. The human fleet jumped into the heart of HFY space. Nathan Cole stood on the bridge of the flagship Reckoning, beside Admiral Dawson. Behind them was the largest Alliance fleet in galactic history. Before them was the Dominion homeworld, the center of an empire that had terrorized the galaxy for 3,000 years. "All forces," Nathan announced. His voice broadcast to every ship, every soldier, every freed slave fighting for their future. "Begin final assault." The attack commenced. The HFY Empire, which had seemed so invincible on that terrible night in 2147, began to fall and across the galaxy. Species who had been enslaved for generations looked up at the sky and saw something they had forgotten was possible. Use later. When historians wrote about the war, they would point to many turning points. The fall of the orbital stations, the liberation of the first colony, the Battle of Carthel, but the true turning point, they all agreed, was a single moment in 2147, a moment when an alien fleet appeared above Earth and demanded surrender. The HFY had conquered 300 worlds using fear. They believed all species could be broken. They believed weakness was universal. They were wrong, because on that terrible night, as cities burned and millions died, humanity did not break. Humanity bent. And then, slowly, humanity began to rise. Now the Empire was ashes. The Dominion was history. And humanity stood at the center of a new galactic order, surrounded by allies who had once been victims, leading a civilization built on the simple principle that no species would ever be enslaved again. Nathan Cole stood in the crater of Buenos Aires one more time. It had been rebuilt now, a beautiful memorial to those who had died. 12 million names carved in stone. His wife Maria, his daughter Sophie, all the others. "We did it," he whispered. "We won." The wind carried his words into the sky, up toward the stars, toward the future that humanity had bought with blood and courage and an absolute refusal to surrender. The war was over, but humanity's march through the stars had only just begun.